Hey everyone, happy spring 2019. I know we're a few days into spring already, but I wanted to come to you guys to give you a houseplant tour. Now, it's been a couple of years since I've done a houseplant tour. There have been some changes, particularly to some of my larger plants. So go ahead on back and check out my previous houseplant tour and then come on back and watch this one. I'm going to take you through every room of my home that has plants in it, kind of just tell you a little bit about what plant it is, how I water it and how I care for it, and our journey together. Some of them I've had in this home for about 3 years. So I'm excited to share this with you. Thank you for joining me, and let's go ahead and jump right on in. All right, everyone, here we are. This is the front room of my home. Let's get started. So I'm going to start with our newest addition. This is Cleveland. Affectionately named after my grandfather Cleveland, who just passed away on March 23rd of this year. This was one of the plants in his collection and decided to bring it all the way from New York back to Georgia. It's only been here for about a week or so, and I'm not quite sure what plant it is, what its lighting needs are. In my grandfather's home, he always had a light on it, so I have that lamp, and that's actually the same lamp that he had on it. And he had that light on it pretty much 24 hours a day. So it has dropped one leaf since bringing it home. I'm hoping that it will thrive well here and continue to grow. But if anybody knows what type of plant this is, please let me know, because I have no idea what plant it is. And I never thought to ask my grandfather what type of plant this was while he was with us. But it is named Cleveland, and he is our newest addition. Moving on over here, this is Ruby. If you remember from the first video tour that I did, Ruby is a Rojo Congo, or a red Congo, which is found, of course, in the Congo and other areas of Africa. This was the first plant that my husband purchased for me when we moved into this home, and that was 3 years ago. Well, May will be 3 years that I've had this plant. It was the first Mother's Day that we were in this home, and again, next month will be 3 years. It was a small little itty bitty nursling when we brought it home, and now you can see how huge it has gotten. Let me bring you a little bit closer to it so you can see the pot that it's in. I believe this is a 20-inch pot, and the soil has settled so much in here now that it needs to actually be repotted. It's pretty much outgrown this pot. So I have to go to the nursery and see what size pots they have that are larger than this, bring it home, and then replant or repot this monster. We even have a stake in here. I put this stake in here, and as you can see, it's been tied to the plant because the plant has gotten so heavy, so top heavy and so big, it needs some support. So once it's repotted, I'm going to readjust that stake to provide more support for it, because right now it's leaning and it really needs to, you see that? Come up straight. So this is Ruby. This is my absolute favorite plant next to Fiona, and we're going to get to Fiona soon. This here is some sort of Dracaena. It's growing like wildfire. It actually even continued to grow throughout the slow season, which is fall and winter. And as you can see, the leaves are lush and beautiful. These leaves here that are torn up, that is thanks to my little cat, who does not have a name, by the way, but actually he's a kitten, and he just had a time with those leaves. But other than that, this plant has been growing and doing very well. I think it'll probably be time for this one to be repotted again soon. Maybe not in the spring, possibly at the end of the summer before the growing season stops. Okay, guys, do you remember Fidel? Fidel was my huge monstera that I propagated. Well, I did not know that monsteras needed tons of light. And I don't know if you guys can tell. Let me take a step back. It's the middle of the day here. It is about 1:30, and this is the most light that's coming into this room. This is the afternoon sun. And you can see it's still a little dark in this room. So this room doesn't get the best lighting of the best lighting across the board, but in this house, for our house, it does get the best lighting. So this plant, Fidel, was here, and slowly it started to wither away. It dropped its leaves. I didn't really know what to do with it. I put a light on it. I moved it around trying to figure out what was the best position for it, and Fidel just did not fare well. I actually thought Fidel died. All of the leaves had dropped. I cut the stems back, and it was just this pot as it is, you see right here. There was nothing in it other than these big stems here, but there were no leaves. The roots were all dry, and I was going to toss the soil out. And I just put this pot by the window, and about 2 weeks later, after all the leaves had dropped and it was just the stem, and I was nursing my wounds because I felt like I killed my plant, I was going to throw Fidel away. And I looked at it, and this little, well, it's not so little anymore, but this leaf right here was the first one that popped up after 2 weeks when I thought the plant was dead. And here you see Fidel is growing back. This has been about maybe 4 or 5 months or so, and this is what has grown. Now, all of you Monstera deliciosa lovers, yes, this is a slow growth for a 4 or 5 month period, but again, we don't get a lot of light, and even with the artificial light that we have in the room, it's still not enough to provide the abundance of light that this particular plant needs. So in our next home, we're going to be selling this home, and you guys will be a part of the journey. This house is going to be sold. In the next home that I move into, lighting is going to be paramount because I need my plants to thrive. So this is Fidel, baby Fidel now. I will keep you guys posted on Fidel's journey. That's my jade over there. I received that for my 40th birthday from an anonymous friend. I still have no idea which one of my friends sent this plant to me, but it was a little itty bitty twig, probably about just the size above my finger, this one little stem. And in 2 years, I just celebrated my 42nd birthday in December, and in 2 years, this is how it has grown up. And let me let you guys in here closely. Do you see this? This is one leaf that fell off, and it just propagated on its own, and it's growing up its own little baby jade plant there. So when I repot that, and that's going to need to be repotted soon, when I repot that, I'm going to take the little baby jade plant and put that in its own pot so I can have 2 jade plants. And what's interesting about this plant, this pot does not have any hole in the bottom. I put a layer of marbles on the bottom of that pot and then filled it with soil. And I only water this jade plant about once a month in the growing season and in the dormant season, about once a month, and that is it. And it's been doing beautifully in a pot with no drainage. My aloe plant here, it's getting a little dry. I try not to overwater it, and sometimes I think I might underwater it because I noticed the little dry parts along the plant here. But you guys see that? That is a aloe plant. It's a succulent. Those of you that are succulent lovers, be sure to get an aloe plant. And whenever you need some healing for your skin or for your hair, or even you can ingest it, just go ahead and pop one of these off and scoop out the pulp and have at it. Great. This is called a Song of Jamaica. It's a Dracaena. This was another little itty bitty when I first got it. I ordered this by mail about 1.5 years ago, and it's been growing beautifully. If you take a look here now, you'll see some of the roots are starting to grow there, starting to grow up out of the pot. And in my experience, when the roots start to come out of the pot, unless it's a plant with aerial roots, such as the Monstera or this Rojo Congo, unless it's a plant with aerial roots, once the plants start to come above, the roots start to come above the soil, that tells me that it's time for the plant to be repotted. So I have quite a bit of repotting to do this year, and of course I'll bring you guys along the journey with me. But this is called the Song of Jamaica, and it's another type of Dracaena plant. I hope I'm saying that correctly. If I'm not, somebody please tell me how to say it correctly. This is another one here. Roots, you see the roots coming out of the pot there, and it's leaning. It really likes to sit up straight, but because it's gotten so top heavy, it needs a larger pot with more soil. It's kind of been leaning and also pulling towards the sun. This is another Dracaena here. Let's move on over here. This is one of my peace lilies. This was a gift from one of my very dear friends last year, probably May or June of last year. And I struggled with this one, guys, as honest and transparent as I can be. Peace lilies, you know, it's one of those plants that people tell you are easy to care for. And in my experience, peace lilies have been my challenge. It's not even so much a lighting thing. For me, it's a watering thing. I don't know if I'm overwatering, underwatering, what I've been doing with my peace lilies, but I've had 2 of them prior to this one that have died on me. This one, I thought I was going to lose it. I cut back quite a bit of leaves. It was big and full and bushy. And over the dormant season, they just kept falling and falling and falling. So some of them fell off and others I just had to cut off. As you can see, there are no blooms on it now. The pretty white flowers that bloom from it, they're not on here right now, and I'm hoping that they will start to grow now that we're in the growing season. It's perked up. The leaves are getting life back in them again. I'm really pleased with how this plant is doing. For those of you that have peace lilies, I think the easiest way, or what I've learned, the easiest way to schedule watering is don't schedule watering for this plant. Wait until it tells you that it needs to be watered, and it will tell you that it needs to be watered because the leaves will droop. They will droop significantly. And what you'll notice is once you water it, they perk back up seemingly overnight. And these plants like big drinks of water. I put this plant in my shower and I run the water and saturate it. Let it sit and drain all the way, and then I bring it back here and put it by this window. And that has been working. So I'll keep you posted to let you know how this plant survives in the household. All right, guys. This is one of my pothos. And it's here. I need to cut this little leaf away here, but this is a pothos. It's been doing great, starting to get, I call this hangage, when the leaves start to trickle down. So it's been doing beautifully here, and this is not by a window. Let me see if I can show you here. So that's the door, that's the window, so it's in a corner here. I actually burn a lot of incense on this stand, and the smoke from the incense doesn't seem to bother this plant. So for those of you that like fresh scents or incense in your home, this plant is hardy and can handle the smell or the smoke from incense. All right, guys, come on over here. This is another one of my pothos. This one was actually propagated from a huge plant that I had gotten from a friend's mother when they were moving out of their home about a year, maybe almost 2 years ago. The plant was waterlogged, the soil had fungus in it, and I really just went through and pulled all of the little stems out with the veins and put them in different pots, and they struggled for a while, but it's finally starting to perk up. These leaves were very droopy for a long time, but it's perked up and getting a little bit of hangage there, guys. Look at that. One of my snake plants, this was the first snake plant that I purchased ever, and it's doing well. You can see here, I still have it in the nursery pot. Snake plants like to be tight. Their root ball likes to be tight. So it probably can go maybe another season in that nursery pot before I repot it. Honestly, guys, I can't even tell you how often I water this plant. It's not often at all. Maybe once every 6 weeks. Maybe. This is the hardiest plant. If you have a hard time keeping plants alive, if you don't have a lot of light, this is a hardy plant. You cannot kill a snake plant. And besides the fact that you can't kill it, it's gorgeous. Just look how stately that is. It's elegant. I absolutely love it. So this is one of my favorite plants. I have another snake plant, a few more snake plants, but I have another big one that I'm going to show you guys shortly. All right, so let's see here. This is also from my grandfather's house, this peace lily here. It does not have a name yet, but I brought 2 of his plants home with me to just remember him. by now that he's gone. This one is ready for a new pot, so I'm going to get a new pot for this one very, very soon and get it repotted. I like this window for it. Peace lilies, again, don't need a lot of light. The watering has been an issue for me, and this one was doing very well in my grandfather's home, and I hope that it continues to do well now that it's here. It took a long ride all the way from New York down to Atlanta, and it survived the ride, so I'm hoping that I can keep it alive. Doesn't have a name yet, so if you guys think of a name for this plant, this peace lily, go ahead and leave it in the comments. I would love that. You know what? And I think we're going to make this one into an actual giveaway. Whoever can name this plant, I'm going to get you a peace lily and send it to you. So yeah, that sounds like a bunch of fun, whatever name I choose. But you know what? I'm going to do a different video about the giveaway and naming of the plant and show you guys what the gift is going to be. But awesome. I just had that idea. Look at that. I'm a genius, right? Okay. So this right here, this is a bird of paradise. Some people call it, I've heard other people call it an elephant or elephant ears, but I think the elephant ears are mainly outside, but it's a big palm. It's almost like a palm almost in the way that the leaves grow up and they fan out. I got this plant from IKEA. Oh, it's been at least a year that I got this from IKEA. It was dirt cheap, less than $20, and it wasn't much smaller than what it is now. And if you guys come in and take a quick look, look at this. Let me move away from this angle so you can get a, oh, there we go. Look at this. We've got a new beautiful leaf growing up, and we have another one unfolding right here. This plant is beautiful to watch grow and bloom and unfold. Watering needs, this gets a big drink of water about once every 7 to 10 days. It's recently been repotted, and it's kind of just trying to get its, you know, get its footing in the new pot. It went from a 10 to a 12-inch pot maybe about 2 months ago, and it's doing very well. The pothos that I told you guys I got from a friend's mother when they were moving a year or two ago. This is another part of that same pothos that I just showed you guys over on the brown table next to the snake plant, and beautiful. Now this is another pot that does not have drainage holes in the bottom. So like I did with my jade plant that I showed you guys a little bit ago, the bottom is full of rocks and marbles. Then the soil is in, which is mixed in with a sand. I can't even think of it. I have to think of what the name is of the sand that's mixed in with it so that it's light and drains very well. And I don't water this one too frequently because I don't want to saturate the soil. So this one probably gets watered about every 10 to 12 days or so. But look at that beautiful hangage. I love it. Pothos are just probably one of my favorite plants because they're so beautiful and they're easy to care for. All right, guys, Fiona. Do you remember when I brought Fiona home? Fiona has been with us now for about over a year. It's been over a year. Fiona and I have struggled, guys. We have struggled. It's been difficult because, again, you know, when we see plants on Instagram or Pinterest, or even if you just are a nursery hopper like I am, you see these plants and you don't realize exactly what their needs are. You bring them home and then you realize, OMG, my home does not have the correct lighting, or, you know, I'm not in the right zone, or, you know, I'm not sure how to water and care for this plant. And anything can happen once you get that plant home. So Fiona has been struggling. This is a braided fiddle leaf fig, and let me show you what I mean by braided. The stem of it is braided, and it grows up into this beautiful braid. It's not much bigger than it was when I bought it home, just because I've been trying to find the perfect lighting for it. It cannot take direct sunlight. I had it in the front window and the leaves burned and dropped. Then I moved it to another window and the leaves dropped because they didn't get enough light. So this window right here, this is a northeast facing window. It gets mostly afternoon light, but it does not get direct light. This has been the best window that I've found for Fiona. She's not dropping leaves anymore. And if you look closely here, You see how shiny this leaf is in comparison to this one and how light green it is? That means it's new. It's a baby tenderling. It's new, guys. So it is still putting out new leaves. And, you know, I'm still really trying to learn Fiona. I would love for her to grow tall and statuesque and to be this stately plant that makes that, you know, is a center of attention and a conversation piece. That's my goal for Fiona. So I'm going to keep nursing her. We might move her around a little bit more and try to find out if there's a better window for her. But for right now, for the last 7 or 8 months, this has been the best window for her, where she has not dropped leaves. The leaves have not burned. And for the most part, she's still growing. So I'll keep you posted. Fiona gets a big drink of water once a week. And she also gets misted. Actually, all of my plants get misted at least every other day, even my snake plants. But you see the toys, little ones. But yes, they all get misted, and then the ones that require different watering schedules, I've went ahead and showed you those.